doing a wonderful cooking demo, and she mentioned that she was a certified yoga teacher, and everybody said, well, do a yoga class, do a yoga class. Well, that's what she's going to do tonight. It's called Vinyasa Flow, and it's going to be lovely. As soon as I introduce her, I'm going to turn my microphone off so that you won't see or hear me. You can just focus on Cathi. Please welcome back to the show, Cathi Misquitta. Thank you so much for doing this, and it looks beautiful where you are outside.
Thanks, AJ. I'm in my backyard, and so taking advantage of the fact that the air here in California has finally cleared up a little bit where we are, and enjoying it outside. So I'm going to start some music. So give me 2 seconds here. And then I will have to go back into the Zoom and share it. And it'll be loud at first, but I will turn it way down so that everyone can hear me and the music. Hopefully that sounds okay. All right, let's get on our mats and get started. We'll come down to a nice, easy seated pose. Oh, you can see my little footprints from our ashy backyard that hasn't been cleaned yet. Well, that will come in time. So just taking a nice, easy seat, sitting up nice and tall on the sit bones, crossing our legs, just gently resting our wrists on our knees. Let's bring our attention to our breath. Not doing anything special with our breath right now, just noticing how we inhale and exhale, feeling the air coming through the nose, filling up our lungs, feeling the air outside us, bringing our attention to the present moment, listening to the sounds outside or inside, wherever we're practicing our yoga today. And what are we feeling? What is the temperature like? Are we comfortable? Just take a moment here. So today, as we practice our yoga, I will simply be serving as your guide. So if anything, I will try to give you as many options on how to do the poses. Nothing is wrong. Your practice is your own. I will just try to give you cues so that the poses can be comfortable. And of course, we don't want to injure ourselves. So as we go through our yoga practice today, we'll be mindful of our bodies. We'll listen to our bodies. And if something just doesn't feel good for us, we simply won't do it. We can always revert to something like child's pose. And if you haven't done yoga before, I certainly will show you what that is. And so we can always come back to a nice resting pose. Let's go ahead and get started warming up in something that we call a Siri Om, which is really just a nice big circle that we're drawing with our shoulders, moving all the way around. And as we come forward, we're going to inhale and exhale as we come back, arching that back, moving at our own pace, moving with the flow of the breath. And just gently starting to warm up the spine, warming up the core. And then from here, why don't we just go ahead and reverse that flow, drawing circles as big or as small as we like. I'm going to start my watch to make sure I keep us on track today. And now let's just start drawing those circles a little bit smaller. We come closer and closer to our upright seated position here. Take a nice deep breath here. And let's move on to our knees, coming into a tabletop position with our hands directly underneath our shoulders, knees directly underneath the hips. We're just going to warm up the back a little bit more, doing some cat and cow. We'll move with the flow of the breath. So when we say this was Vinyasa flow, most of the yoga today will be moving with the flow of the breath. So as we exhale, we're going to round the back, drop the chin to the chest, and drop the tailbone under. When we inhale, we're going to reverse that, dropping the belly, lifting the shoulders and the tailbone. So let's move with the flow of the breath, exhaling into cat, exhaling into cow. And we're moving at our own pace. Pushing the shoulders away from the ears. Engaging the core. And one more here. And one more cow. And then just come up to that nice neutral spine. And we're going to look over our left shoulder and bring our left hip over so we can see it. And then reverse that, looking to the right and bringing the hip over to the right side. Working on some lateral flexion. To move with the flow of the breath, we'll inhale as we straighten and exhale as we bend. You'll notice that as we do that, it seems fairly natural. Because as we contract and squeeze the lungs, we want to exhale. And as we become more neutral, the lungs want to open up. And then come back to center. And we'll move into some bird dogs, lifting the left arm and the right leg. So we're balancing, engaging the glutes. So we're going to squeeze here and point the toes. And set that back down onto the mat and switch sides. Right arm comes up, left leg pointing nice and strong. And then we'll move back to that flow. We're moving with the flow of the breath. So inhale as we lift. Exhale as we lower. Switch sides. Inhale. Exhale. Let's do that again. Moving with the flow of the breath. Moving at our own pace. And let's just do one more each side. Now let's check where we are on the mat. We'll just scoot back maybe just a little bit so our toes are at the edge. Bring the hands forward just a little bit. We're going to do a little flow. We're going to start in child's pose. So keeping the knees together this time. We'll vary that in the future, but for now, keep the knees together. Sit the hips back, drop the forehead to the mat. Keep the arms stretched out nice and long in front of us. Breathe into the back. On the next inhale, we're going to come into what I call baby plank. So up on our knees, bringing the shoulders over the wrists. And then we're going to exhale, bringing our hips and chest down to the mat. On our next inhale, we'll lift, not pressing through the hands, just using those nice strong muscles along the back. And then press back into our child's pose. So we'll speed that up just a little bit so we can move with the flow of the breath. So inhale, baby plank. Exhale down to the mat. Inhale up, we call this baby cobra. Exhale, press the hips back into child's pose. Let's come forward again. Inhale. And exhale down. Inhale up, baby cobra. Exhale back, child's pose. Let's do that one more time. Inhaling forward. Exhaling down to the mat. Inhale, lift the head. Exhale, press back into child's pose. Hold it here for a moment. And now we're going to do something else. We're going to rock the hands forward a little bit. Give ourselves room on the mat. Curl the toes under, and we're going to lift the hips up nice and high. Keeping the legs straight, maybe stepping the feet in just a little bit into what we call downward dog. So we're pressing our shoulders back towards the hips. The index fingers are pointed towards the front of the mat, that short end of the mat there. Heels reaching down towards the mat, and that's, we'll call it walk the dog. Just alternate bending opposite knees, sending opposite heels down towards the mat, warming up the backs of the legs. As we practice yoga, we use something called ujjayi breathing, certain kind of pranayama. Prana meaning energy or life force. So this breathing practice is kind of like blowing out a candle, but closing the mouth and breathing through the nose. Or sometimes we call it the ocean breath. So you should be able to hear yourself, maybe like Darth Vader. And what this helps us do is bring our attention to the practice and be more mindful of what we're doing. So now that we've finished warming up the backs of the legs, let's lift that right leg up nice and high. Bend the right knee. From here, as we exhale, we're going to bring the right knee across to the left elbow. Inhale, lift it up. Exhale, bring that knee to center, right between the elbows. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, we're going to bring the right knee out to the right elbow. Inhale, lift it up. Let's repeat that whole sequence again, across to the left. Inhale and lift. Exhale, bring it center. Inhale, lift. Exhale, right knee, right elbow. Inhale, lift. And let's set that right leg down. Walk the dog again. And then settle the right heel down, lift the left leg nice and high. Bend the knee. On the next exhale, let's bring it across to the right elbow. Inhale and lift. Exhale to center. Inhale, lift. Exhale to the outside. Inhale, lift. And again, repeating that across the body. Inhale, lift. Exhale, center. And lengthen. Last one outside. And lift it up. Set that foot down. Let's just take our hands, walk them back to the feet. Coming into forward fold. Let's hang out here, maybe micro bend those knees. Bring the chest down to the thighs. From here, we're going to kind of reverse swan dive. Inhale, lifting up, trying to keep that back nice and neutral. Exhale, the hands come down, heart center. I'm going to step into the center of my mat. And we'll do a few more warm-ups now that we're up and standing tall. Inhaling the arms up overhead. Exhale, hands to the side, swan dive down, forward fold. Inhale, lift it up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift. This time, let's exhale, come halfway down. And I'm going to turn to the side so you can see what I'm doing. We're going to inhale up in a chair, so sweep the arms forward, sitting back in our heels. We should be able to draw a nice straight line from our fingertips to our tailbone. And next exhale, let's come into airplane. So nice flat back, retracting the shoulder blades, pointing the crown of the head straight ahead. So we'll move this into more of a flow. Inhale up into chair. Exhale into airplane. Inhale, chair. Exhale, airplane. Again, moving at our own pace with the flow of the breath. Every inhale coming up to chair. Every exhale coming down to airplane. We'll do one more here. Back to airplane. And go ahead and fold all the way forward. Inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, the hands come down, heart center. Let's step out nice and wide on the mat now. And we'll do some more warm-ups with some, call these sunflowers. Arms come out to the side. As we exhale, we're going to dive forward, bringing our hips back, torso parallel with the floor. Inhale, rise up, squeeze the glutes, and tighten the abs. So exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift it up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift. Exhale, forward. Inhale, lift. And back down again. Just moving with the flow of the breath. And let's bring our hands heart center. I'm going to turn one foot out towards the short side of the mat. The other foot, I'm going to come up onto my toes. I'm going to lift the arms up overhead. And as I exhale, we're going to lunge down. Now we'll do this slowly at first so we can go over what we want to see. At least the knee over the ankle, so we're not putting too much stress in the knee. If we squeeze the glutes on the back leg, we can help open up those hip flexors. So for those of us who sit at computers all day, this is going to be very helpful for us. As we inhale, we'll rise, bring the arms up. So exhale, cactus the arms and lunge. Inhale and lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Let us go down as low as is comfortable for you. Just continuing to warm up the legs. Moving with the flow of the breath. And we'll do one more here. And bring the hands heart center. Let's switch the legs. Bring the back leg up and the front leg back. Up high on those back toes. Bringing the arms back overhead. When we're ready, exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Moving with the flow of the breath. And we'll do one more here. Let's bring the hands heart center and step to the forward end of the mat. Now we'll see how this goes for me with my tree right here, but we'll move into some sun salutations. We'll do the first one slowly, rather than moving with the Vinyasa type flow, just so we can all be on the same page with the movements. So let's start. We just inhale the arms up overhead. Exhale, we'll swan dive down with a nice flat back. Brush, fingertips brushing the floor if that's available to us. We can have a slight bend in the knees. That's perfectly fine. From here, the next move would be to inhale up to a flat back. So a halfway lift. Notice a nice neutral spine. We're not rounding forward, keeping it nice and neutral. Then we'll exhale forward again. The next move is going to be stepping back into a runner's lunge. The right foot goes back and the left stays forward. From here, and this is a yoga fit modification of kind of a traditional sun salutation. So it's not a traditional sun salutation. Anyway, we're going to step the left foot back to join the right and come into that downward facing dog we practiced earlier. Then following this, we'll have a couple of different options. We can come into plank, and if this is a challenge, it's okay to come down to the knees as a modification. That's one thing we can do. From here, we have another couple of options. So we can lower straight all the way down onto the mat, and then lift up into a baby cobra. Again, I'm not using my arms, I'm just lifting my chest. Or we can come from the plank pose, drop down into chaturanga. So we're hovering above the floor or the mat, and then we'll come up into up dog. We're pressing the shoulders away from the ears, tops of the feet are on the mat, belly is forward. And then we'll curl the toes under regardless of if we're in baby cobra or upward dog, and then press back into down dog. The right leg is our moving leg. So we'll bring the right leg forward into a runner's lunge, and then join the left foot with the right in forward fold. We'll inhale the arms all the way up, coming to a nice tall standing position, and then exhale down into chair pose, drawing that nice straight line from the fingertips to our tailbone. So now we'll try to move through that slightly faster, moving with the flow of the breath. On the inhale, let's lift up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, right foot comes back into runner's lunge. Exhale, left foot joins right in down dog. Inhale, forward into plank or baby plank. Exhale, down to the mat or chaturanga. Inhale, baby cobra or up dog. Exhale, curl the toes under, press back into down dog. Inhale, right foot forward, runner's lunge. Exhale, left foot joins the right and forward fold. Inhale, flat back all the way up. And exhale down into chair. Hold here. Bring the attention back to the breath. And let's do that again. Inhale the arms up overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, right foot comes back, runner's lunge. Exhale, left foot comes back, down dog. Inhale, forward into plank or baby plank. Exhale, down to the mat or chaturanga. Inhale, up, baby cobra, up dog. Exhale, back into down dog. Inhale, right foot forward, runner's lunge. Exhale, left foot joins the right, forward fold. Inhale the arms up overhead and exhale down into chair. Again, holding here. Weight is back in the heels. We should be able to lift the toes up nice and tall. All right, up again. We'll do one more sun salutation. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, right foot comes back, runner's lunge. Exhale, left foot joins right, down dog. Inhale, forward into plank. Exhale, down, chaturanga or to the floor. Inhale, baby cobra or up dog. Exhale, curl toes under, press back, down dog. Inhale, right foot forward, runner's lunge. Exhale, left foot joins right, forward fold. Inhale the arms up overhead and exhale down, chair pose. As we sit here and breathe, on the next exhale, let's gently open up to the side, arms opening up nice and wide. Bring it back to center, holding here. And on the next exhale again, open to the other side. Bring it forward again and come into forward fold. Let's take a moment to reset here. Take the hands, grab the elbows, point the crown of the head towards the floor. Let's take a moment to just nod the head yes, shake the head no. Make sure our neck muscles are nice and loose. The body's much warmer now, so we should be able to come a little bit deeper into our poses, slightly deeper stretches. Inhale the arms up overhead. Exhale the hands down, heart center. Take a moment to bring the thoughts to the breath. And we'll start changing this flow practice to one that's a little more like Hatha yoga, where we're holding the poses just a little bit longer. Let's start by inhaling the arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. From here, let's take the left foot and step it back. Coming up nice and high, still on the toes. Inhale the arms up overhead and come into our high crescent lunge. And we'll work on opening up these hip flexors right here by squeezing the glutes. pointing the tailbone towards the mat. From here, let's bring our hands down to our hips. Drop that back heel down. Toes should be pointed out at an angle. Try to square the hips to the front of the mat. From here, straighten the front leg, and let's hinge forward at the hips as we come into pyramid pose. Now, if you have blocks, you could have them here. If coming down too low is a challenge, and that's okay. You can also bend the knee, that's fine too. Let the head hang. From here, we're going to spring forward a little bit. Bring your hands well in front of the foot. Lift the back leg into a standing split. Now, the foot doesn't have to go up like we're Olympic gymnasts. It just needs to go up a little bit. Breathe here. From here, we'll go into a more challenging pose. So you can stay here, you can stay in forward fold, whatever is more comfortable for you. But we'll come into warrior 3, lifting the torso, bringing it parallel to the floor, lifting the leg parallel to the floor as well. And we can keep our hands here by our hips, the palms facing up, or we can bring the arms up overhead, trying to find a nice place to focus on the floor. Help us keep our balance. And then bring the hands down to the mat. Drop the foot and just come into forward fold and breathe. Let's step the right foot back. Balance ourselves out. Do it on the same side. Hands come to hips. Let's rise up. Inhale the arms up overhead. High lunge. Open up the hip flexors on the other side. Squeeze the right glutes. Breathe. Nice. And again, let's bring our hands down to the hips. Drop that back heel down. Square the hips to the front of the mat. Straighten that front leg. Hinge forward into our pyramid pose. If we can bring the hands down to the mat, that's great. And let the head hang. And just like on the last side, we're going to spring our hands forward a little bit. Lift that back leg, keeping our hips pointed neutrally so they're not open up. Just come into that standing split. And from here, let's try to lift the torso up, bringing the leg parallel to the floor, and hands either by our side or again up above near our ears. Broadening through the shoulders. And release the hands down to the mat and the foot as well. Hang here and forward fold. Let's step that left foot back again. This time, opening up the hips a little bit. So drop the back heel down. We're going to pinwheel our arms up into warrior 2. So from here, let's make sure we're stacking the knee over the ankle, that we can see the big toe in our right foot. Opening up the hips nice and wide, bringing our gaze over the right fingertips, and breathe. Drop the back hand down, lift the front into reverse warrior. Coming back into warrior 2. Let's take a couple breaths here. we'll straighten that front leg. Hinge forward at the hips, really reach forward. Pinwheel down into triangle. Just bringing our bottom hand so it's resting gently on our shin, trying to stack one hip over the other. And if it's available to us, looking up at the hand that's pointing to the sky. Pinwheeling back up. And let's lunge forward into warrior two. Nice deep breaths. Taking our right elbow down to our right knee. Let's take the left arm, sweep it up and overhead, opening our chest to the sky, drawing a single line of energy straight from our fingertips all the way down to our back foot, rooted into the earth. And if we want to increase the challenge, we can lift that other arm parallel, feeling the strength in the front leg. But staying in the elbow is just fine too. This is our own practice. I'm just a guide. Let's pinwheel back up at the warrior two. Let's bring the hands heart center. Turn both feet so they're pointed towards the big long end of the mat. Put the hands on the hips. And let's hinge forward, coming into a wide-legged forward fold. And for someone like me who's been at the computer all day, let's just take a moment to clasp the hands behind the back. Gently let them fall forward, opening up the heart. Squeezing the shoulder blades together. Bring the thinking mind back to the breath. So one nice thing about yoga, concentrating on the breath and exactly what we're doing with the body. Instead of putting the body into the poses, we're using the poses to bring us into our minds. This is an hour of mindfulness. So let's release the hands. And from here, let's just walk our hands towards that left foot. Turn the left foot towards the front end of the mat. I say front end because that's going to be our new front. From here, lunge forward and pinwheel up into warrior two on the opposite side. Gazing out over the left fingertips now, pointing the tailbone towards the floor. Drop the right hand, lift the left, reverse warrior. Arms come back out to warrior two. Let's straighten that front leg, and just like the other side, hinge forward, reach, reach, reach. Then pinwheel down into triangle, stacking the hips, seeing if we can fit ourselves between a couple panes of glass. Let's pinwheel back up and lunge forward again in warrior two, holding here. Now let's take the left elbow down to the left knee, sweep the right arm up and overhead, opening the chest to the sky in our extended side angle. Breathe. If we want, taking the other arm out parallel, feeling the strength in that front leg, holding us up nice and strong. And open up into warrior two. Dropping the shoulders away from the ears. Bring the hands heart center. And again, let's do that wide-legged forward fold. So turning the left foot so it's pointed towards the end of the mat, or the long side of the mat. Hands to hips, fold forward. Release the head, crown to the earth. And this time, see if we can't just take our hands down to the mat and pull ourselves just a little bit lower to deepen the stretch, if that's available to us today. Inhale the arms up overhead. Bring the feet together and exhale the hands down, heart center. And let's take a moment to find a place to fix our eyes. We're going to do a few balance poses. We'll start with a tree pose. Now, there are a couple options for tree pose. We can either, we're certainly going to root into the earth. We can place the other foot either on our calf muscle, or if it's available to us, lifting it up nice and high to the inside of the thigh with the knee pointed out. And sometimes for me, it depends on how much lotion I have on my legs, whether or not I can do that. The only thing we want to avoid is the knee. Pulling the abs in nice and tight. Let's lift our arms up nice and high, grow those branches, pulling the shoulders away from the ears. And maybe lift up each corner of the mouth too. Holding here. And coming out of the pose the same way we came into it, bringing the hands down and then releasing the foot. So let's root into the earth with that other foot, and we'll come into tree pose on the opposite side, bringing our foot to the calf or the thigh, pointing the knee out to the side, however far, again, that is available to us. And when we're ready, pulling the abs in nice and tight, lifting up the arms. And bringing the hands down, heart center, and letting the foot come back down to the mat. We'll do another pose, which is going to feel amazing, I hope. So root down into the leg that was just up. Cross the other knee over. So you've got a figure four. And we're going to sit back like chair pose, opening up and stretching that outer glute, that piriformis, the medial gluteus. I'm just holding here, lifting the chest up nice and high. And so it's really a standing pigeon. And again, coming out of the pose the way we came in, standing up nice and tall, and then letting that foot come down to the mat. Now root into the earth with that foot. Bring the other up, crossing over the knees, coming into a figure four, gently sitting back. Remembering to breathe. Again, coming out the way we came in. Let's stand up nice and tall and set that foot back into the earth. Let's move down to the mat and do a few more exercises down there. Inhaling the arms up overhead. Exhale, fold forward with that nice flat back. Release the head down. Walk the hands forward and then walk the feet back, coming into a plank pose. Now, there are several options in plank pose. We can come down to our knees. That's certainly going to help decrease some of the weight on our hands and our shoulders and our arms. Also, if you're having trouble with the wrists, you can come down to your elbows and either from the knees or the toes here. So whichever option you choose, let's just hold our plank pose, pulling the belly button in nice and tight, squeezing the glutes, retracting the shoulder blades, lifting the hips, and of course, remembering to breathe. From here, we're going to open up into a side plank. And again, we have several options. Again, if you are on your elbows, you can stay on your elbows. You can bring your top foot in front like a kickstand to give you a little support there. And if that's not comfortable and you still need support, you can drop your other foot, your bottom leg down on your knee to support your side plank. Stacking the shoulders right over that hand. Pulling those obliques in nice and tight. And drop that hand down. Come back into our center plank. And then it's time for child's pose. We're going to separate our knees mat distance apart. Toes come together. And sitting back, leaving the arms out nice and long so we can stretch. Breathing into the back. Sometimes it always feels just a little too short being in child's pose. We're going to come out to plank again, in whatever variation you choose, and hold here again. Everything nice and tight. And let's open up to side plank on the other side with those same variations. Kickstands with the top or the bottom leg, or being on the elbow. Again, bring that hand down and let's sit back into child's pose again. Knees nice and wide, forehead to the mat. And if that's challenging too, you can always come up on a couple of fists. If it's easier, if it's hard to get your forehead down to the mat, that's totally fine. It's your practice. From here, let's come forward, bringing our knees together, coming all the way down to the mat. We're going to come into Sphinx pose. So bring the elbows underneath the shoulders with the fingertips pointed towards the front of the mat. Just gently lift through the thoracic spine and coming a little bit into the lumbar spine. Just holding here. Let's bring our body all the way down to the mat. You can stack the hands one on top of the other and bring the forehead to the hands. Or you can turn your head from one side or the other, whatever is most comfortable for you as we rest here. We're going to do another exercise. It's going to really strengthen our back. So it's called locust. We're going to bring our hands to our sides with our palms facing towards the earth, lifting the shoulders up off the mat as high as they will go. Then lift the legs, squeezing the glutes, lifting the arms. So everything, all those muscles down our posterior chain are engaged. Holding here. And release everything down to the mat. Bring the hands up in front again, stacking the hands one on top of the other to rest the forehead. From here, let's place our hands directly underneath the shoulders. Press the body up. From here, we're going to take the left knee, bring it forward with the left toes pointed out the right side of the mat. Lengthen that back leg as long as we can. And we can either be up here, nice and proud in our pigeon pose. We're going to feel a nice stretch right here in these outer glutes. Or if it's available to us, coming down a little bit closer to the mat, maybe to our elbows. So we're right over our knee. So the chest is centered above the knee. The hip may not be on the mat. That is fine. And if we want, if it's available to us, maybe coming just a little bit lower and breathing into the hip. Letting it relax just a little bit more with each exhale. As we're ready, depending on where we are, let's come up nice and high again. Curl those back toes under, lift the hips, and let's come back into that tabletop position. We'll switch legs now. Bringing the right knee forward with the right toes out towards the left side of the mat. Lengthening through that back leg, bringing our torso centered over that thigh. And again, being up nice and tall and proud in our pigeon pose is one option. Or coming down to the elbows. Or all the way down to the earth. Breathing here. Planting the hands. Let's just sit back on that hip. Bring the back foot around. Coming up nice and high on our sit bones. So we're going to go into boat pose. The most important thing with boat pose is to keep this back nice and flat. We don't want to round forward like this. So let's keep it nice and high. Bring the hands to the back of the thighs. Gently sit ourselves back, lifting our calves so they're parallel with the earth. If this is enough, we can just stay here. If we want a little more challenge, we can bring our hands out, as long as we're not compromising that lower back. If we want even more challenge, we can straighten the legs, maybe, and hold. And release, grab the back of those thighs, pull ourselves in, and breathe here. Do that one more time. Bring those calves up parallel with the earth and release the arms. Hold here. And release. Bring those hands back to the thighs and let those feet come down to the mat. From here, let's bring our feet in nice and close to the glutes. lying all the way down onto our backs, bringing our heels until they touch or nearly touch our fingertips that are down by our sides, with something about the size of a grapefruit between our knees. We're going to lift the hips up, squeezing the glutes and contracting those hamstrings, lifting the hips nice and high. Now we can stay here, or we can bring the hands together behind the back, walking those shoulder blades a little closer together, lifting up through the chest and holding here. Squeeze those glutes. And then release the hands and let the hips come back down to the earth. From here, you can sit up just a little bit, grabbing the inside of our feet or the big toes, but I kind of like the inside of my feet. And just let the legs come out nice and wide. Rock back and forth in happy baby. This is also called dead bug, but frankly, I like happy baby better. All right, we've got a couple more stretches before Savasana. Let's come all the way down, bending both knees. So I've got my left knee bent. I'm going to cross my right over it, and we're going to do a supine pigeon. So from here, we can. This may be enough stretch for you, or we can lift the leg up and hold it wherever it's comfortable. And if it's available to us, bringing our hands behind the thigh and pulling our legs just a little bit closer. If you had a strap or a towel, you can use that to extend your reach, wrapping it around the thigh, just gently pulling a little closer. And release that down. Switch the legs. Cross the left foot over the right. Lift the right leg up. Grab behind the right leg if that's available to us. Breathe and stretch. And release. We'll do nice side twist. Bring the arms out to the side like a nice giant T. Keep the right knee bent so it's right next to the left leg. Taking the left hand, grab the outside of the right knee. Let gravity pull the right knee down towards the left side as we come into a twist. And let the gaze come over to the right hand. And let gravity bring the right shoulder towards the earth. Not forcing anything. Just letting gravity have its fun. Let's unwind. Straighten the right leg. Bring the left arm out to the side. Bend the left knee. Take the right hand on the outside of the left knee and let the left knee drop to the right while our gaze drops to the left. Breathing into that long left side. Unwind, bring everything to center, and we'll take 5 minutes for Savasana. As we prepare for Savasana, which is also called corpse pose, which I don't like. Savasana sounds so much nicer. Let's let our toes just gently fall to the side. Let our palms go by our sides, opening up the palms to the sky. Tucking those shoulder blades behind the back, opening up the chest. letting the fingertips just gently curl. And if we want, during this 5 minutes of relaxation, think of something that's happened in this last week that brought you tremendous joy. And bring that feeling into the heart and let it suffuse the body as we relax. to our room or the outdoors, like I am outside right now. let's just start bringing some movement back into our body, starting by wiggling our fingers and our toes, and bending the arms at the elbows and the legs at the knees. Everyone has different ways that they're comfortable getting up from Savasana. So if you're comfortable rolling onto your side, take a moment and roll onto the side, and take a few breaths there. I won't because it's not available to me. When we're ready, let's push ourselves up into a seated position, coming back into that nice, easy seated pose or Sukhasana, where we started our practice today, sitting up nice and tall on the sit bones, bringing our shoulders back, raising the crown of the head towards the sky. Let's take a moment and just relax the wrists on the knees. Take a breath here. And let's let in some light, gently opening up our eyes and bringing our hands together, heart center. Thank you so very much for sharing your yoga practice with me today. Thank you, Chef AJ, for letting me share this with your viewers. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Namaste.